So I'm going to continue with lesson 5-7. And
5-7?
5-7, because that's where we were last week. So let's do a quick little review here. Some of our vocabulary that we were talking about last week, we were talking about conjugate binomials. And who can raise their hand and tell me what a conjugate binomial is? I should have more hands up than just 2. You can look back in your notes. You can look anywhere you need to. Ellen, go ahead.
Like,
Do you want to give me an example?
it's like a 2-term problem. So it's like, for example, x squared plus 5x minus 36.
Does anybody want to help her out?
I got one.
4x squared.
Anybody want to help her out? Hannah, go ahead.
3x plus 5, and then like 3x minus 5. In
Okay.
parentheses.
Oh yeah, it's not one.
Conjugate. We're looking at binomials. You are absolutely right. Binomials have 2 terms in them. The thing about conjugate ones is that the signs between the terms are different. One will be a plus sign, one will be a minus sign. Okay? We talked about the difference of 2 squares as being conjugate binomials. Again, difference means what, Carter?
Difference means subtraction.
Good job.
Difference, subtracting. If you're subtracting 2 squares, then answer is going to be a conjugate binomial.
I got it.
Okay? So we talked about examples, and I'll do the very quick example here. We talked about, like, if I had 4x squared minus 25, I'm going to set it up because it's going to be conjugate binomials. So I'm going to take the square of the first one. The square root of 4 is 2, so I'll have 2x as my first term. And my square root of my second term is 5. And since they're conjugate binomials, because it's the difference of 2 squares, I'm going to have 1 plus sign and 1 minus sign. Okay? That's what we talked about last week. We're going to continue on with that, but I want to look at something else. Suppose I have, let me think of a good one here. Suppose I have 9x squared minus 36y squared. Okay? It's the same principle here. Okay? So I am taking the difference of 2 squares. The only difference here now, Austin, is that I've got 2 different variables here. Okay?
Yeah.
So again, I'm going to take the square root of that 9, which is going to give me 3x.
Minus
Plus
6 minus.
Well, wait a second. Plus and a minus, and then I'm going to have 6y. So let's do one more so I can make sure you're right there with me. And again, the only difference now is that we've got 2 variables that we need to be held accountable for, okay?
So it's plus 6y and minus 6y?
Yes, still conjugate binomials, okay? Suppose I have 25x squared minus, and it has to be minus because we're only talking about the difference of 2 squares, okay? 25x squared minus, let's say, 81y squared. Who can raise their hand and tell me what they think the answer would be if I were to factor this out? Carter?
It would be 5x plus 9, or 9y, and then 5x minus 9y.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Suppose I were to have 4x squared plus 25y squared. Prime. Why?
Because it's a positive.
Because
Or it's a
it's
plus
a
sign.
sum. It's taking the sum, and we're talking about the difference.